The key to the story, it is I. And yet to me that sounds so tame, so simple. It doesn't give me the sense that we have heard what Matthew really wants us to hear in this story. Let me then tell you about the Greek words that are translated as "it is I." In the Greek, there are two words in that place, ego and me. The word ego in the Greek means I, singular person, right? I. The word eimi means I am, or it is I. Depends on how you wish to translate it. So here, the two words brought together emphasize each other, as if saying, I am, in a very strong way. Or if you want to put it into movie terms, it's like showing up where a secret agent says, my name is Bond, James Bond. Jesus is saying, I am, I. And I believe with the same emphasis, Matthew wants us to understand. This is not a banal little trite phrase. This is not Jesus simply telling the disciples, be comforted in your fear because it is me, I'm here. That's not what Matthew wants us to get, even though I say the English translation, it is I, is only that level of tone and doesn't give us the real meaning, the theological meaning that is present here, that Matthew wants us to know the theology here, meaning, who is Jesus? I am, he declares in Matthew's gospel. And where else in Scripture do we see the words, I am? And if you don't remember, let's go back to Exodus when there is Moses before a bush. And that bush is burning, and a voice speaks from the bush. And they're having a conversation between the divine voice of God from the bush and Moses. And at some point, Moses asks God, I'm going to have to tell these people in Egypt whom you want me to free, I'm going to have to tell them who sent me and by whose words I am speaking. Whose name shall I tell them? And Moses is told this by God, tell them I am. I am that I am. I am the great I am is the word of Moses, or of God to Moses. And here in Matthew's gospel, in the center of his entire gospel, in the center of this chiasm story, where the theme is supposed to jump out of the page at us, I am, has been declared by Jesus. The great I am is standing on the water. The great I am just put his hand in the water and plucked Peter in rescuing him out of the water and plumped him right back on the boat. The great I am just strode for an hour of walking over the water. The great I am, the divine and holy I am. That's what Matthew wants us to know about Jesus. The key central element of the entirety of Matthew's gospel is Jesus is God, the great I am. There is no separation. And we should appreciate that when we read the text of this gospel. Matthew is not trying to be subtle. He wants it to be a bold declaration. He knows Jesus. He trusts Jesus. And Jesus is divine, is God. And this is his statement, his absolute declaration of what he believes right here in the middle of the text. Who then rescued Peter from the wave? Who rescued Peter from sinking? It was not just a simple lifeguard. It was not just a lizard who runs across the water with the power to lift you out. It is not a human prophet, not a human teacher, not a human priest. What we're told by Matthew in this, it is the great I am who saves. The same great I am who saved a people out of slavery in Egypt is the same I am who pulls out of the water Peter when he is drowning. And that is Jesus, divine and holy. This is Matthew's message and good news for us.